Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the next video of Chemistry with Sarab Tasambeg. In the previous video, we saw the process of melting and we saw the definition of melting point and the differences between boiling and evaporation, which comes under the umbrella term of vaporization. In this video, we're going to look at what is the definition of boiling point and what occurs at a molecular level during boiling. So when we boil a particular liquid, again we have to increase the temperature of the liquid. So boiling occurs when the temperature of the liquid is increased. Boiling occurs when the temperature of the liquid is increased and the liquid particles gain kinetic energy. The particles will overcome. Now, in the process of boiling, the particles will overcome their electrostatic attractions. The particles will overcome their electrostatic attractions and will turn into a gas. And hence the definition of boiling point is a constant temperature at which a liquid changes its state into a gas. So, for example, we saw in the previous video that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius and ethanol boils at 78 degrees Celsius. So these are the boiling points of water and ethanol. Now, this was boiling and melting, but they can also ask you in the exam the reverse process, which is freezing, or the reverse process, which is condensation. So for that, you're going to write the opposite of what we have just written, that when we are condensing a gas into a liquid, the temperature of the gas is reduced, because condensation is gas to liquid. So when the temperature of the gas is reduced, the gas molecules lose kinetic energy and the particles will start to have electrostatic attractions between them and they will turn into a liquid. So for condensation, you will write the exact opposite of what we have written for boiling. Or if they ask you for freezing, you will write the exact opposite of what you have written for melting. That when the temperature of the liquid is reduced, the liquid particles lose kinetic energy, they come closer together, the electrostatic attractions, or the forces of attraction, become significant and strong, and hence the liquid changes into a solid. So for freezing and for condensation, you're going to write the exact opposite of what we have written for melting and boiling. Now, one thing is that when we want to find out the purity of a particular substance, how pure a compound is or how pure a substance is. So a pure substance will always have a fixed melting and boiling point. A pure substance will always have a fixed melting and boiling point. For example, pure water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Pure ethanol boils at 78 degrees Celsius. Pure ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius. They have a fixed melting and boiling point. And that's how we can identify if a substance is pure or not, by checking if they have a fixed melting and boiling point. However, the problem arises when there are impurities in a liquid or a gas. However, The problem arises when, now what is the problem? When there are impurities in a liquid or a solid. If there is an impurity in a solid, an impurity reduces the melting point of a solid. Reduces the melting point of a solid. So say for example, if pure ice was melting at 0 degrees Celsius, the ice which contains impurities would melt at a temperature less than 0 degrees Celsius because the impurities reduce the melting point. And similarly, an impurity increases the boiling point of a liquid. So say for example, pure water was boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. Now, if you have impure water, let's say for example, you have a salt solution. If you have a salt solution, that means pure water has NaCl, sodium chloride, as an impurity. So if that is the case, then the boiling point of the water would be way above 100 degrees Celsius. So an impurity increases the melting point of a liquid, and impurity reduces the melting point of a solid. So they can ask any question around this concept, and this is one way. Another way to test for the purity of a substance we'll see in a future video. But one way to test for the purity of a substance is to see if it has a fixed melting and boiling point or not. In the next video, we're going to look at heating and cooling curves. So till then, stay tuned and thank you very much.